Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Heritage. And on today's episode, we are back in Vietnam. I hope you guys enjoyed our podcast episode back on Monday about the Viet Cong, because now we're going to be talking about Hoi An, an ancient town that is exceptionally well preserved and has a couple of ties to that time period, so we figured it'd be appropriate to talk about. So let's just dive right in. All right.
First thing I want to do is not talk about Hoi An, but I want to talk about the little trick that the person who wrote this UNESCO World Heritage article did, which was having fun with the English language. Because for the longest time when we were setting this up, I read this as Hoi, an ancient town, and it should say ancient town of Hoi An.
Not to mention, in the name itself, they also split Vietnam like Hoi An.
That's fun. Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Oh.
It's like the people involved in writing this definitely knew that they wanted to screw with the English speakers.
I don't blame them. Look at what we did to their area.
I'm not taking accountability for anything here, man.
Neither did we. Oh no.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're talking about the ancient town of Hoi An, which has a lot of really beautiful architecture dating from the 15th century to like modern day, really. But the period in time for this is what, the 19th century, I think, which has a lot of very beautiful ornate roofs, tiles, colorful buildings.
Yeah, it's basically there are 1,107 timber frame buildings, which were the style of architecture that was going on up through the 19th century, which is about where the historic preservation for the UNESCO World Heritage Site here sort of tapers off and says, okay, that's all too new to be a part of what we are considering, outstanding universal value.
It could also depend on stylistic choices, but for the sake of this site, that's what they're doing, and understandably so. I mean, these timber frame buildings are absolutely stunning, and it could also have tied into a material change as well. That could be the stark contrast, where instead of having these timber frame buildings, they went maybe stone or concrete or some other variation.
Yeah, because the timber frame is met with either brick or wooden walls, and it's kind of in everything for these buildings here. Like, for example, it's not just people's homes, but it's also pagodas, familial cult houses, various monuments, the marketplace, the ferry house. All of that is this style of architecture.
And not even just the architecture. You're talking about the hand hewn timber framing, the beautiful intricately carved wooden designs. Like, all of this wooden lattice work that is in here was hand carved and hand built. Like, it truly is the work of masters doing it.
They even have an imported 18th century wooden Japanese bridge with a pagoda on it. How do you even get that? They're the Japanese. They don't share anything. Especially not in the 1700s.
Oh no, unless it's like the British Museum where they're just borrowing it.
What are you doing with that?
It's abridged now, thank you, chaps.
But it's the 18th century Japan. They share nothing.
But it's a very beautiful town, and it's kind of cool because it shows both indigenous and foreign influences, and it really shows a lot of traditional and culturally Chinese and Japanese influences, whether it's their bridge that they stole or just other influences. But 1,107 timber frame buildings, and just still can't believe they stole a bridge, but still.
I don't know if they stole it. Maybe they bought it. This is that weird time period between Meiji Restoration and before Meiji Restoration, but after Sengoku Jidai. So Japan is just kind of being as isolationist as humanly possible.
it's kind of cool though, because this really does offer a window into this time period in this area, because this city really is an exceptional example of a 17th and 18th century town. One, you have a lot of homes and businesses that completely back up to the river, that have docks and stuff that allow for offloading of goods and services onto the boat or into the building, and have their streets fronted on the other side. One and two, it shows what a commercial port town and village looks like, because you have the ports, you have the docks, but then you also have the centralized marketplace where you can do the trading, and it still has that authenticity as that small town. You don't have a lot of modern developments in this area. You don't have a lot of pressure to replace old building ones, and it's kind of interesting because they, in a lot of ways, actually maintain the buildings in their traditional methodology. They haven't lost their ways.
Which, can we talk about the level of intensive care needed for maintenance out here? This is a Southeast Asian port city. The amount of water and storm damage you have to contend with on a daily basis is, like, these are wooden buildings. This entire town is made of wood.
It's not a great
You have
place.
monsoons, you have the ocean, you have rain,
To be
The
fair,
British.
to be fair, that's part of why they are so well maintained and why they're still up and running, because you have to consistently go back and maintain these buildings. You have to consistently go back and fix them up and replace boards. So it helps with the maintenance of it, because you consistently keep working on it. And then on top of that, there are so many protections in place. It is considered a national cultural heritage site, and was also designated as a special National Cultural Heritage Site under the Cultural Heritage Law of 2001, amended in 2009. I mean, it's all state property, which is I mean, it's a communist country, so that does kind of make sense, but for the state to own the whole thing, like, you definitely know there's not going to be a whole lot of interference there, because, it's the biggest roadblock out there. You're not going to have some private landowner going, I'm going to build a brand new mega skyscraper here because I want to.
Yep.
Wait, that doesn't sound too bad, actually.
Hey,
Why are the Pinkertons back?
One of the nice things too with how the Vietnamese government is managing this is the fact that they are very open to multidisciplinary and international scholarship, studying this town, studying its history, creating more information about it. Like, this isn't one of those cases where they are preserving it and trying to keep it a certain way to maintain a particular image, but rather this is a place where they see it as a chance to engage with the world on the basis of scholarship and tourism, and really expand their foothold and their knowledge.
God, you love to see it.
Yep.
And just the fact that they're willing to balance collaboration with the stakeholders. They want to maintain the authenticity. They want it to be researched and studied. Like, I don't hate any part of that, honestly. The only really issue that they have is the annual flooding that you mentioned, because even urbanization is being controlled and has been under active participation of the local authorities and community. So they're really trying to work on it, and they have a master plan in place that goes until 2025, which just basically means that they're drafting up a new protection plan moving up here. So kind of interesting. It shows that they actually care and that they want to preserve it, and I love to see it.
Yep.
And
this is one of the rare cases where we are just very happy with something we found.
Yeah, we're very happy with an actual government doing something beneficial that isn't just for a private company's sake.
And on that weirdly positive news, thank you guys for watching. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one, I guess. Bye.